We begin this segment with this ad from the Lincoln Project, a pretty stunning anti-Trump ad, and I'll play it for you. While you're watching it, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel, click the like button and the alert bell as well.
And these suckers, after everything that's happened, you still back me. It's truly a thing to behold. I wrecked the economy, screwed up COVID, ordered the attack on the Capitol that scared you into line. But look, I can get away with anything. I mean, I humiliate you even when you support me, and you won't do anything about it. God knows I'm a liar. You know it too. You know every case against me is real. You know I stole classified documents. You know I cheated on my taxes, defrauded my banks, cooked the books, cheated the little guys who work for me. You think I don't know I deserve to be impeached? Of course I know, and you know it too. And it happened twice. But you won't do a damn thing. I've destroyed your party, and you let me do it. Practically begged me to. You're like dogs, begging for scraps. I know you don't love me, but I like making you pretend that you do. And it's not like you have a choice. You're afraid of me, and you should be.
So like I said, that was an ad from the Lincoln Project that either has someone mimicking Trump's voice or it's an AI of his voice. And my goodness, sending chills down the spine. Disturbing to hear what are likely some pretty accurate articulations of Trump's mind. The only issue is that Trump would never speak that articulately. He could never say that many complete sentences in a row without getting distracted, squirrel. And I came across that video and it brought a thought into my mind that I reflect on once in a while. Now that Trump has truly taken over and destroyed the Republican Party completely, and almost everyone who's left is willing to humiliate themselves on a daily basis in his service, at least the people who are driving the GOP car, what comes next for the party? I've said that I'm optimistic Joe Biden's going to win in November if we all do what we need to make that happen. And if he does, you still have MAGA, this anti-democratic movement that has coalesced around a wannabe dictator and keeps proving it's an electoral loser. 2018, 2020, 2022, and hopefully 2024, Trump is proving that the Republican Party cannot appeal to a national electorate properly when it's defined by MAGA and Trump. But MAGA doesn't believe that its candidates lose legitimately. So how could they be motivated to moderate themselves for the sake of electoral viability when they think they're legitimately winning and it's just being illegitimately rigged against them? And while I'm definitely excited to make MAGA politically irrelevant by causing loss after loss after loss, there is something frightening about the prospect of a movement that sees its dear leader lose again, and this time with no realistic path to another election opportunity, but still has complete control over the GOP, and this coming after the kicking out of every more moderate Republican from the party. Trump is openly saying he wants to get rid of any quote-unquote Romney Republicans from the party. And he said he will ban, whatever that means, anyone from MAGA if they donate to Nikki Haley or if they did in the past. So then the GOP will exist as this policy-less, in the absence of Trump, identity-less entity that could get pulled in any direction, not necessarily the correct direction. And so because right now the extremist elements of the movement definitely seem to be calling the shots, they could very likely and will very likely stay in charge and turn the party into something potentially even more extreme and dangerous. We've talked about how Steve Bannon says Trump's a moderate in the movement. That's what Steve Bannon, right-wing podcaster, says. And that the next leader will make us long for Trump. I don't think we'll ever long for Trump no matter what happens, but that prospect of an even more extreme leader is terrifying and something we should keep an eye on. Because while it's becoming clear that MAGA can't win in so many races, they can win in some here and there. Some of these deep red districts, they can still win in, and that's all it takes to do a lot of damage. As we've seen, you can have more moderate elected Republicans still there, but they aren't worth much when they don't resist the extreme part of their party. And so the whole party becomes defined by its extreme element. And so while we have averted, in the case of a Trump defeat, the crisis of Trumpism and MAGAism, the abandonment of loyalty to the Constitution, democratic principles, the bunkers media echo chambers that are even more crazy than echo chambers that have existed previously and across the political spectrum, that will all still remain. So in that Lincoln Project ad, it's sort of emphasizing how Trump has such control over what's left of the GOP that he could realistically mock in that way all the people who worked the hardest for his love and admiration and humiliate themselves on his behalf over and over again, and they would allow it. But a really important question, I think, that comes of that is, what is it characteristically about the GOP base and about most elected Republicans these days that allowed for us to get here, to get to a place where that's the dynamic between Trump and most of the party? And that's where I think we should be really motivated to specifically call out. It's why I try to explain the details of how MAGA threatens democracy and how they threaten so many of these fundamental freedoms and principles. Don't just define the threat as Trump as a single person. He's definitely the figurehead and the really dangerous existential element of this current moment, but also about the characteristics. Discuss and explain to people the characteristics of the movement that would allow someone like Trump to become the cult-like leader that he is. Trump's called for the termination of the Constitution. He's now saying that the press are criminals, saying the government should go after media outlets he doesn't like. Of course, in 2020 and 2021, he tried to block the peaceful transfer of power for the first time in American history as a president, trying to do those things. A movement that sees those things and says, that's my guy, isn't going to go back to just being a normal party after Trump hopefully loses in November. And so we have to explain to people broadly that that's the case. And on every front, we have to call out when the anti-democratic, detached from reality elements of the movement pop up so that voters understand, even if the name isn't Trump, we have to make sure to vote against and oppose candidates across the board who hold that similar ideology. It's something I've been working with people in my life on. Yes, good, I've convinced you on Trump. Now also all these other MAGA candidates, you gotta vote against them too. Super important. And then also in that ad, Trump is mocking the Republican Party, as you saw, for being subservient to him. He also is seemingly wrecking right in front of their eyes the party establishment, and they're okay with that. He can mock them, humiliate them time and time again, and that's sort of what that mimicking of his voice was serving to do, to bring that to life, how he treats people who humiliate themselves for him constantly and have no principles now, and it's just him. But he also is being allowed to destroy the RNC and turn it into his own nepotistic piggy bank. And it's a pretty crazy situation on that front. Let me pull up this article. The Guardian reports Donald Trump's new leadership team at the Republican National Committee started the process. And this comes, by the way, right after new leadership is in, including Laura Trump. My goodness. Started the process of ousting scores of staffers on Monday night, clearing out its ranks as they prepare to bring the committee under the wing of Trump, or I should say of the Trump 2024 presidential campaign. Sources familiar with the matter said the RNC is expected to cull about 60 people across the political data and communications department. One source familiar with the situation described it as an absolute bloodbath. Yeah, that's brutal. And then here is the DNC chair, Jamie Harrison, reflecting on the disaster that is the RNC. By the way, some people have been asking, why am I looking over in this direction and seemingly occupied more than my normal videos? The editors have the week off, so I'm doing everything here on my own for the week. But here's this from Jamie Harrison, talking about just how much of a disaster the current RNC situation is now with a Trump in its leadership.
Lara Trump has officially become the chair of the RNC, and the RNC is apparently gutting at least 60 positions, moving operations to Palm Beach or Mar-a-Lago. What do you make of this complete and utter mess?
Man, listen, as they say, the RNC is down bad. You think about this. After Trump has taken over this party, Lara Trump is the chair of the party. They are in financial disarray. They're dealing with a mass purge of staffers. Just a few months before the election, I hear almost a third of the staffers at the RNC are being laid off. And they are on one of the worst losing streaks we've seen in modern party politics, in modern party politics in the history of this nation. So, you know, they're taking out lines of credit, laying off staff, and they can't even afford to spend money on their racist down ballot. But this is a good thing. They are paying Donald Trump's legal bill. So as I said with you earlier, man, go Lara, go. Girl, you are doing it. You are knocking it out the park. Keep doing it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So Trump can go as far as collapsing essentially the structure and efficacy of the RNC just to serve him. And Republicans are going to allow it, just like how they've allowed their party to turn into a cult of personality around Donald Trump. And for that, they should be mocked. Make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, and please click the alert bell and the like button.